Welcome to Lead with Hope, the podcast where we explore the power of hope, leadership, and resilience in today's world. I'm Brandi Kelly, and each week I will bring you stories, insights, and actionable advice from leaders, innovators, and changemakers who are using hope as their compass to navigate challenges, create positive impact, and inspire others to do the same. Whether you're a seasoned leader or just beginning your journey, this podcast is here to remind you that no matter the obstacle, hope is the fuel that can drive transformation. So let's dive in and discover how you can lead with hope. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lead with Hope podcast. Today, I have Gretchen Bridgers on the show, and for more than 20 years, Gretchen has mentored and coached educators, led impactful professional development sessions for school staff, and spoken at conferences across the country as the founder of Always a Lesson. Today, she continues to empower educators worldwide through her blog, the Empowering Educators podcast, classroom resources, professional development courses, books, and personalized coaching. Gretchen, you are widely recognized for empowering educators and delivering your professional development. So why don't you start off and just talk to us about how you got into this work? What inspired you to do this?
Well, thank you for having me. And it's so nice to meet you. I was teaching, having a lot of fun. It's what I always dreamed of doing, and wasn't sure what I wanted to do over the summer, because working with kids during the year and then working with them over the summer, like I had been in summer camps or tutoring, I was getting a little burnt out. And I thought, what else could I do? I'd worked at the mall in high school. I'm like, am I going back to that route? And into my inbox, as I'm sitting in my classroom, came this opportunity through the new teacher project. And we call it TNTP. And I had the opportunity to coach here in Charlotte. It was called Teach Charlotte. And I was able to take what was working in my classroom and help other people design and create and implement effective classrooms. And they use Teach Like a Champion. I have it here. It's oldie. I mean, I've got all sorts of Post-its in there. It really helped give verbiage to the things that we were doing that were effective. And we talked about why it worked. And I realized they were evergreen. I mean, you could use them no matter what grade level. So I was working with new teachers, kindergarten through seniors in high school. And these techniques were working. And I thought, I guess it's not content related. I guess it doesn't have to do with how many years a teacher has. It has to do with this is just quality instruction. And so when I decided to finally write my book about it, I had to figure out what makes some teachers great. And more importantly, what makes good teachers greater faster. And when I realized that there's an order of like what we're doing and how we're attacking it, that's when not only we get effective, but we start to see the results in student achievement. So to give you the long answer, it all just sort of unfolded. And I just paid attention to what was happening around me. And I took the next few steps. And now I'm able to help others do what I kind of slowly uncovered over many years.
Helping others. That seems to be a theme that I hear a lot on this podcast, especially from former educators. That's kind of what I feel is my purpose, is just helping others. And I think a lot of educators come to this in that way. And at the core of it, it seems to go back to relationships.
It's all about relationships. And I used to think, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to help these teachers. I'm going to do these great things. And then we'll like get to know each other later. Mm-hmm. And that didn't work. Like I knew as a classroom teacher, I had to know my kids because that helped me plan what I was doing, their personalities, their styles. And so I always prioritized it in the classroom. But suddenly in leadership, I wasn't doing that. And it made no sense as to why I forgot all about the importance of connection, of relationships, that we're in this business of human to human connection and nothing else matters. I could be the most professional and creative and just intelligent human. But if that person doesn't feel connected to me, it doesn't matter what I'm saying and what I'm trying to get them to do. And so we have to make sure we don't just do an icebreaker, that connection is built into everything we do, an ongoing process.
Yeah, we have to have that connection and that community.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you just said there. That was amazing. Now, whenever we connected back and forth through email and working out the specifics of this podcast, one of the things that caught my eye in one of the pieces that you put in the communication is you said, hope is a lesson. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of unpack that a little bit in regards to how you help schools build strong cultures. Like, what intentional practices, what lessons do you teach to foster the habits or the practices that creates hope as a lesson?
Well, we are in the people business, as I said. And so your culture is all about people. There is no greater investment than in the people in front of you. And I hate when principals say to me, I just got all this money. Like, let's get this new curriculum. Let's do all the cool new tech tools. And I'm like, freeze. Like, what are we already working with? Who is in the building that we can leverage? And so some things that I teach my leaders is it's called lead from within, meaning within our four walls of this school, what do we already have that we can leverage and use so to benefit not just single classroom, but everybody. And when you start thinking about, okay, I have a roster of teachers. If each person came with a gift or a skill or a talent, what would I label that? Kind of like when you're doing end of year awards, you're like, what's this person known for? Everyone on staff should be good at something, have something to contribute. And if we're not using that and we're expecting other consultants to come in like myself to fix everything, it's going to be short term and it's never going to be long lasting. And you're never going to empower the people doing the work. And so when you lead from within, you really reflect on everyone and the skills they have, and you build your culture, because we're people centered around that. And that is when schools start to find success. Remember, we talked about connection before everything else. Yeah. And this is one way to do that. When you lead from within, teachers are like, wow, I didn't know I could contribute or lead without leaving the classroom, or that you thought this of me, or that my peers think this of me, or that this thing I do is really cool and effective. Like, who knew? And it starts to bring everybody together in alignment towards one singular goal.
Yeah. In my work, Gretchen, I talk about building that belief and that confidence. And in education, I notice that oftentimes we don't see our own greatness. You look for experts outside of the organization. I've heard them say that to be an expert, you have to live about 30 minutes or more away. But the greatness happens within the organization. So I love that you have that practice of leading from within and celebrating the strengths of the people in your organization. That is so powerful.
Yeah. And again, this is something I've learned. And once you start doing these easy to implement steps, that's when things start to shift. And you're like, why didn't I do this earlier?
Yeah. Education is so hard today, but the way we look at things, our mindset, it really does matter. It makes a difference. And so as a consultant, working closely with those teacher leaders, how do you help them maintain that hopeful, optimistic mindset, especially when they're navigating those difficult seasons, or maybe it's a major change? How do you help them do that?
Well, it's honestly the same whether I'm working with teachers or leaders. And this is why nothing's ever the same. I mean, I taught so many years and every year was so different and every month is so different. I mean, things are changing around us constantly. And so when you expect a challenge and you expect obstacles, that change allows you to be a little more nimble and be expectant of a shift. And I think that allows you to not get flustered and frustrated when things happen, because you realize, I knew this was coming. I can't sit in comfortability too long, and that I just have to be flexible. And so that may mean you have multiple plans from A to Z, and it's just, which one are we doing today or this year? And I think it forces you to get creative, have connections like your own PLN, your professional learning network, and other school buildings, so that you get new ideas, fresh ways of attacking common problems. And one thing that I tell teachers and leaders is, hey, no risk, no reward. Like, you got to go for it. We can't just do it because we've always done it or because this is simple or comfortable. I mean, you got to get out there and say, what can I do differently? How can I be a little bit better today than I was yesterday? And something I've learned in watching my kids grow is consistency and hard work have beat talent 10 out of 10 times. Mm-hmm. So you might have really quality teachers or an amazing leader, but if there's a lack of consistency and putting your best foot forward, you're just kind of relying on like, I'm just naturally good at this, you're not going to get as far. And so you just got to show up every day and say, whether it's a challenge or it's comfortableness today, either way, I'm all in and I'm going to do it each and every day. And that has made such a difference in mindset as we move through the years in education.
Yeah. Gretchen, you are sharing such important and impactful advice today. I'm taking notes, so I'm going to refer to these later. But you're right. Consistency compounds, and we have to be consistent, because really the only thing we can truly count on is that we are going to face adversity. We're going to face challenges and obstacles, and our mindset matters so much. But in considering those times that were challenging, maybe for you, and this may be a personal or a professional challenge, how do you encourage others to lead by choosing faith over fear, by choosing, love and optimism over that fear piece?
I hate to bring up a story that still is, you just like want to close your eyes. And you're like, did that really happen? So I was coaching with another teacher. We were kind of two coaches in this one building, and we had our own caseloads of teachers, but we shared an office together. And I was noticing a difference in our approaches to coaching. We were both taught the same. We knew exactly what our game plan was. She was more relaxed. And I told you before, I was like, all business and we'll have relationships later. So I by no means was perfect. But one thing that I noticed she was doing that I thought was detrimental was she was getting married, and she was very excited about it. And she would share pictures and we'd talk about planning, and all that was great. But all of a sudden, teachers that were on her caseload were walking in. They wanted to see pictures. They wanted to hear all about it. And I'm like, whoop, whoop, like, this is a boundary. I don't mind personal connections, but not like on the clock. When kids are in the building and you're just popping in real quick to ask something, like your mind is on being a better teacher. And these teachers were fresh. They needed as many rounds of practice as possible. They needed feedback. They needed time to plan and to process. They didn't need to be in the coaching office, having a great time.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, okay, this is my personality pushing me to have this conversation. And I have to realize she's an effective coach in her own way. There's things I can learn from her. Mm-hmm. So do I bring it up and then ruin our relationship? Because remember, we share space. Yeah. Or do I not say anything, and then these teachers are in classrooms not getting better, and that means our kids aren't able to achieve at the levels that they could if these teachers were getting more effective. So I don't even know how it came out, and I'm sure it could have come out better, but I just like blah, 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 said it all. Mm-hmm. And she was so stunned. She looked at me like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Like I had betrayed her. And I said, listen, I'm not telling anybody else but you. I'm not going to go tell on you, it's up to you to just make the adjustment, because these teachers are not doing the greatest on their performance rubric. And we've had conversations like how to help specific people. And some of those that were high risk were the ones coming in. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her, I want you to have connections, and how can you do it in a more professional way so that the main thing stays student achievement? Mm-hmm. And so over the years, I've thought like, what could I have said or what could I have done? But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for kids, even if that means having an awkward conversation. So I have another book that's really helpful, Crucial Conversations. It helped me find the words and the right approach to hold each other accountable. I'm not like pointing the finger at you. I'm not above you, but I am going to tell you, like, we got to have some conversations that might be awkward, but it's only because it's for the betterment of ourselves and those that we lead, especially students. And so I just encourage anyone listening to not walk away when in your gut, you're like, this isn't right. And even if it risks the relationship, it is still in the end what you should do.
Yeah. And when you're having those conversations, that feeling in your gut,
Yeah.
you get that knot in your stomach
Yeah.
and you just want to run away or hide or whatever you can do to not have that conversation. But you're 1000% correct. If we don't have that conversation, nothing's going to change. And
Right.
it's important that we're putting our kids at the forefront. That has to be the bullseye. Their learning, their growth, realizing their potential. So that was definitely a courageous conversation. And I look forward to checking out your book because I think we can all use those tips to
Yeah.
have those conversations for the good of
Totally.
our schools and our kids.
Yep.
And that helps us to pursue that excellence piece that I talk about. Excellence is always a lesson.
I like that.
You help others grow personally and professionally in your work. So, how do you coach teachers and leaders to strive for that excellence piece without burning out or that perfectionist trap or that comparison struggle?
Well, I can't promise that my method will prevent those things, but I have noticed a positive impact. So it's worth trying anyway. What I do is have everyone, I work in a little mastermind of small cohorts of coaches. So for 4 months, whether it's spring or fall, we get together and we focus on small action steps. And when they first come in, they're like, I'm going to do all these a million things. And it's so great. I'm like, I love the enthusiasm and the can-do attitude, but we have to make everything micro. And the reason is it keeps you focused. And also you start to feel confident and encouraged when you kind of see the checklist, like, yep, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And that's how you kind of prevent that burnout. And so one thing that we do is we take a whole month to decide what are, and I call it a target. Kind of like you were mentioning, the bullseye, like where are you moving to? Because everything you do has to operate from going in that direction. Because as coaches and as leaders, we're doing so many things all day long, and rarely is it what we know the main thing is. And so we have to be really good about protecting. I can't do that right now. I can do it later. Or right now I have to get into classrooms, or right now I have to work one-on-one with this student. And you have to know what that target is in order to know when to say yes, when to say no, and how to go about it all. So after everyone has their target, then we start saying, okay, what is one tiny step you can take tomorrow that is in alignment with this? And so they start charting. We called a tracker, and they put everything down. Every tiny movement they make that's in alignment towards that goal. And by the end of the month, they're like, I can't believe I did all these things that went towards this target. And now not only am I doing the work that matters most, but I'm starting to see results quickly with teachers and with students. And by the way, I'm getting more effective in my role. And so I think when we start to think a little bit smaller and not so big, it allows you to not get sucked into like, it's never going to work. I can't find the time. It's like, what are you capable of and in control of right now? And that's like, okay, I can take one step. And then you're like, well, that kind of felt good. Like, I want to try it again tomorrow. And it has really worked wonders. And then that small, like a PLC kind of feel allows you to collaborate and you celebrate each other. And that feels good. When people know your goals and they watch what you're going through, the good days, the bad days, they're celebrating with you. They're like, yes, like I know how hard that was for you, or I know how much you struggled to do that. And then you can kind of commiserate a little bit together, but in the end, you're all kind of giving better and better ideas and becoming stronger because of it. So I would say, again, it's not 100% proof, but I think we'll retain educators more no matter what your role is. When you get in alignment with that one single target, everything that flows to it is connected, and that you just think small.
Yeah. The simple things. That's what we have to start with. And we need to zoom in so that we can later zoom out, see the big picture, get the vision, but then zoom in and do those simple things, build those simple micro habits, and then track that. Use a scoreboard. I love all of that, Gretchen. That is amazing. And today, just talking to you about connection and building community, I mean, we're really talking about building that collective teacher efficacy to optimize those student outcomes. And that is so powerful. So with this work, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and they want to learn more about what you do, how do they get in touch with you?
Go to alwaysthelesson.com. That's the website. It's my hub. I've got a blog there, podcasts. You can download resources. You can find all my social media accounts, order my book off there. It is just my home, my hub, and I love to connect with everybody. My goal is just to give back. So many people have poured into me. There's no reason I should keep this to myself. So take what you can take and, challenge yourself to be a little bit better every day.
Yeah, you're living your purpose. Now, is there anything that you're passionate about right now? A new project or something you want to share with the listeners?
Well, I think a few things, like my son's going off to kindergarten, so that allows me to have more time to work with more teachers, which increases impact. So I'm very excited to kind of turn it up this next year. We also have a new admin on site, and they're a great duo, but they are learning, how to keep what's working and then shift into something even better. And so there's a lot of energy on campus, which is fun, this whole we mentality, and I'm loving that. Of course, a lady in my mastermind is working at the university level. She's training future teachers. And so helping her make things more effective to them means, hey, we've got some good people in the pipeline. We're going to retain some really good ones. So there's a lot on the horizon that I'm excited for, and I can't wait to see what develops after that.
Well, Gretchen, thank you for coming on the Lead with Hope podcast today. And thank you for sharing your work and your wisdom, and keep putting hope out into the world.
Thank you so much, Brandi. This was a blast, and appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead with Hope, where we share stories and strategies to help you rise, lead, and redefine what's possible. If today's episode inspired you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more leaders like you who are ready to lead with heart, purpose, and resilience. Don't forget to visit sparkhopeedu.com for resources, upcoming events, and tools to help you build a culture of hope in your life and leadership. We're so grateful to be part of your journey. Until next time, keep leading with hope.